What's going on, boys? On a little road trip, and I figured why not go ahead and hit this video because I have some time right now and why it's on my mind. So I want to talk about why I'm a Christian, why the faith is going to be part of everything that we're doing here. Okay, we have our body, we have the fitness that goes with it, we have our mindset, and then we have faith. Because without any faith, you're not going to get anywhere. I'm too scared to jump out this way. What if this happens? And you're always going to live in a state of fear. And so what is the opposite of fear is faith, and stepping out on that and saying, you know what, God, I don't know if this is what you want for me, but here we go. And so I want to share with you my testimony just a little bit about how I grew up and just kind of going through that. So first thing is, you should know that I have both parents still. Okay, I grew up in a Christian home where we would go to church. I was raised Baptist. Okay, not Southern Baptist, just Baptist. And my dad was actually an atheist. Okay, didn't believe in anything. Did the whole party scene, everything else. I'm not exactly sure. They don't really tell me everything, but that's what I know. My mom was raised going to church, being a Christian, probably Baptist as well. They met at a Baptist church, and it went from there. Grew up, was the first of four, okay? I'm the firstborn, so I'm the oldest, so I'm always setting the standard, as you could say. And so what ended up happening? We went to Baptist church, and when I was 8 years old, they said, you need to make a decision. Do you want to be on the good team or the bad team? Okay? And as a kid, you're used to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're used to like all these like cartoons and stuff where it's like good versus evil. And you know, there's something sinister and cool about being on the evil side. But when it comes to an actual relationship with God, with your life and moving forward, I was like, I want to be on the good side. So right then and there, I made the decision, you know what, I'm going to accept Jesus as my Savior and go from there. And I was baptized by full immersion due to the Baptist way of doing things. And that began my journey, okay? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm perfect, okay? I think there's a lot of hypocriticism in the church and in the people of the church, whereas they say don't do this, but they do it anyway. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't do bad things, okay? There are times where it's like, oh yeah, I used to steal candy bars. You know, I used to, you know, be jealous of other people and stuff like this. I'm not going to say I'd never cussed, right? I don't like to do that on these videos because that's really not who I am. All those kinds of things. You know, the devil wants to come in and he wants to make separation in your life. He wants to make sure that you don't reconcile with your family. Let's say you're one of these guys out here that you didn't have a family. And maybe you grew up, you know, I've talked to a lot of people and it's like they're from another country, their parents aren't together, they don't even really know who their real mom is. Like there's all kinds of crazy trauma that they have to deal with. And the hardest part is going to be how to handle that. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, but I'm here to kind of work through some of this as well. And I think one of the biggest things is, how do we handle that? Like, that's huge. When you have 20 plus years of trauma that you've stored down and you've just kind of forgotten about, how are you going to deal with that? And the hardest part is going to be going back into your past and really dealing with it. And I think one of the biggest things is actually learning to forgive. And maybe somebody did you wrong. You know, maybe you didn't grow up great. I hate to break it to you, man, but the fact is, no one cares. Let's say it is their fault. So what? Okay, cool, it's their fault. Do you feel better now? Like, we gotta take accountability, even if it isn't our own issues. And I think that's huge, and it's gonna set you free when you can actually finally forgive someone for good. It's gonna be like, wow, I am able to move on with my life now 100%. Because let's say they died, right? Like, we've had some issues. I didn't know my grandfather, right? And my mom had some dad issues and those kinds of things. Never resolved it, and the guy is dead now. Never knew the guy. And so what? Are we never going to get past those issues? And so I think one of the biggest things is just learning to forgive, and not just to forget. Okay, that's always going to be there. You're never going to have that reconciliation because they're not there to do that with you. But you can always forgive and move past that. And I think that's huge. Okay, moving from there, grew up. You know, I had 2 sisters and a brother. Okay, we all were raised up in the Baptist church. Then we ended up doing some non-denominational stuff as well as Methodist church. Okay, this is the Protestant stuff. After that, it really tested my faith, because I was grown up like, oh, all sheltered and everything. Don't be out past 6 o'clock because you got to go eat dinner and stuff like that. Okay, awesome. Then we go out into the real world during college, which I'm actually about to pass my college town right now. And I was here for 5 years. I wouldn't say alone. I had friends, but like no family was here. No one is going to make you do the work for you. And one of the biggest realizations I had was, is this for me? I remember my freshman year, I had made a 28 on a physics test, and I was like, is this for me? Is being an engineer really for me? Am I really that smart? Because I didn't think I was the smartest person in the books, And I like math, but I was always really bad at it, but I would always come back for more. So that was always kind of interesting. And so I think one of the biggest things for that was just grinding through and honestly praying a lot, because I had to find my escape route, which was riding my bike around campus with good music, just releasing that inner stress energy. This is where I learned how to divorce stress. So when I say I divorced stress a long time ago, this is where I learned it, because I was constantly stressed out about having to get all A's and trying to get this scholarship for the Air Force and all this other stuff, which honestly never really even happened. And it never was supposed to happen. I think that's a massive thing as well, is when we learn to just accept what it is for what it is, it's going to be okay. And when we know that everything is happening the way it is exactly supposed to, it's even better. And so if you're in a deep struggle right now, that's even better for you, because it's going to create a character. Man, I kind of wish that, I've honestly been praying that I have some more struggles of my own, because honestly I've lived a pretty struggle-free life in comparison to a lot of other guys, but I have my own struggles, right? And I know it's tough. And I think one of the biggest things also moving from that is how do you handle those struggles? It's crazy. But yeah, going back to school, it was like, God, help me with these tests. I know you're helping me throughout all this. I can't do this without you. Many times I would look up at the sky and just want to go fly and be a pilot, because I really felt like engineering wasn't exactly for me, but at the same time it did feel like it was for me. I just needed to keep pushing through it. And what it did was it really built up my character. When you didn't feel like doing something, you had the discipline to go and do work. When it was snowing outside and you wanted to go have fun, you got your work done first and then you go play for a little bit. Like those kinds of mindsets that I grew up with was huge. So that was huge for my faith, right? Just I would go to a Baptist church and stuff like that. Guys, I don't know what denomination is right. Like many people will say, oh, go to this denomination, go to this one. You should be Catholic. I don't know. I was just growing up. I grew up this way, But yeah, it really tested my faith. And then when we finally got out of school, we went into the workforce. I graduated less than a 3.0, and I guess what? I didn't know where I was going to work. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I said this. I was in band, okay? I played the trumpet in a concert band, and I said to the guy who was going to announce my name during that concert we had, I said this. I said, I want to help people all around the world, men, and I want to be involved in flight tests and stuff for engineering. And believe it or not, 6 years later, I'm still doing exactly what I said, because that's truly what was inside my heart. And so for you guys, sometimes I know it's hard to figure out what we want to do when we grow up, but sometimes we just have to go after what our heart desires. And I graduated and had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with my life. I went back home with my parents for like the next 3 months and was like, not depressed, nothing like that, but I was like, I don't know what exactly I want to do. And I know I wanted to be involved in the flight test stuff, so I contacted some people that worked at my school, that went to my school, that work at these companies. And sure enough, got to talk to some people, and they were helpful. They really were. But they couldn't just get you the job. I think that was huge. So I went in and applied to 40 positions at one company, got an interview, and then went off and did that. Funny enough, when I was doing my old YouTube channel, I had turned my phone, hang on, I'm coming into town here. I turned my phone to silent mode, like an airplane mode, and I was filming a YouTube video at the time. And this was the moment that they called me saying I got that job. And believe it or not, I think the reason I got that job was because I had ambition, because I was a go-getter. I was learning new stuff. One of the biggest things I was doing was literally building stuff on Amazon FBA and selling it. Okay, I was an entrepreneur at the time. I wanted to learn. I wanted to make money outside of the 9-to-5 rat race that I know a lot of you guys are in. I'm in it right now. And it feels like you can't just get a break sometimes. So, yeah, it was crazy. The other thing, let's see. So, got out of that, got my job. Awesome. I truly believed it was from God because I prayed about it. You know, I didn't just go into something based on my feelings. Like, I said, Lord, if this is for me, you'll make it happen. Next thing was I went in and I met some guys eventually. I had a feeling in my some thoughts in my head. I was like, you know what? I really want a group of guys that are like cool and everything else in my neighborhood, not just online community. And so what did he do? He granted me that. I ended up going on some crazy date, some party, which I don't even do parties. I just had a feeling to go to this one specifically. It's funny because God will work through people that aren't even Christians and don't even know him to fulfill your destiny. How cool is that? So we went to this thing and I ended up meeting this guy, and then he was saying how he had a house built in this neighborhood, and I just happened to be looking for some houses to rent because I was trying to get out of my apartment because I had the Knight Rider car I was going to build, which has always been my dream. And you know, this opportunity came up. He's like, come on out 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and pick flooring. I said, okay. So we go out there and he walks me around and everything. And then we go over to a couple other streets where our other buddy is. And then he's like, hey, he comes out ranting about apartments and how bad they are. And they were trying to take money from him because he ended his lease early so he could move into his house there. And I was like, my first thoughts of this guy was like, wow, this guy has his life together. I want to be like him. And so I figured, how can I do this? And he's like, yeah, man, if you want to move in, whatever, it'll be like $125 a week, just through Cash App, no contract, nothing like that. I could even leave the Knight Rider car I had built, the Trans Am, in the garage. And I'm talking $125 a week all in. Like, it was like $500 a month. And I paid that for like 2 years. Saved so much money. But the thing was this, I was going to rent out a house, and I got the call saying I got it. I also had this offer on the table. It was like, would you be willing to sacrifice long-term gain, right? To have that long-term future that you want to have of having a house down the street for this. And now listen to this. This was huge. For short-term gain and pleasure. For instant gratification of, I have my own house I'm renting, of I can just do my own thing. And the moment the guy called me saying, you got the house, I told him, because I really rushed. I was like, I want to find a house to rent or to buy or something, and none of it felt right, you know. That's why you guys need to read your Bibles, because you'll have that Holy Spirit guiding you a lot better. And it was so crazy because it came in and it was like, nah, this doesn't feel right. And I said, hey, I really appreciate you, you know, but I'm going to have to decline this offer. I'm going to pursue other opportunities. And he's like, are you sure? Because I was making really good money at the time and whatnot. I could easily afford it. But I said, nah. I wanted to build that community. And because I had had those thoughts and that vision that I had written down, I was making it into fruition. And I had prayed about it and I thought about it. And so guess what? My RAS, my reticular activation system, was zoning in on what it is that I wanted to do and how to get there. And then God aligned the right people at the right time. And it's so beautiful and it's amazing. And I urge you guys to give it a shot. But after that, saved up for two years. Our buddy who would build all those houses in that neighborhood just happened to have a lot that he said he was holding on to. They said I could have it. It was been spoken for now. And I just knew everything was falling into place. So I knew that God had given me my job. I knew that he had given me my degree when I knew that there's no way I could do this. No way I could do this alone. No way. No way I could have made those circumstances to meet those friends, to have everything merge at the right exact time. And then this is the best part. The C-130 gig that I've been preaching about for the last, I don't know how many months. Something that I always thought that I needed to do. I tried ROTC in high school, okay? I did it in college, and then I tried it again. And, I guess 3 strikes you're out. But when I first started it, I said, you know what, God? This is all about you. Okay, I don't want to be a fighter jet pilot. I originally wanted to do that. The reason that I backed myself away from that was because I wanted to help other people and not be egotistical about it. The C-130 is great because you're able to help other people with humanitarian aid, with cargo drops, hurricane efforts. And I wanted to be that hero in the community that people could look up to and be like, this guy is a leader. That's really what I wanted. To be able to wear that Air Force pilot uniform proudly. Guys, I got a perfect score on the Air Force officer test. Like, I can do this. It was a matter of politics, and I would hazard to say favoritism. I'm gonna say it. Oh, I know a guy, and you know a guy. Guys, they already knew who they were gonna pick before that interview. Like, maybe not, but I almost can guarantee it. And so, I think one of the biggest things for me was just learning to understand that because I went into this with God and speaking to him about this and saying, you know what, I really want this, Lord. You put this on my heart for some reason. I'm going to go and do this. And whatever the results may it be your will be done. And that was awesome because last year, and even more specifically this year, I was able to say, you know what, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it brought me closer to him during that time. And maybe that's what the whole idea was about. It was not about becoming an Air Force pilot, but it was about getting closer with him and learning to trust him more in everything I do. And that's been my massive testimony over the last 5 years. It's just these massive life decisions wouldn't have been possible without him and without constantly talking to him and walking with him. And now I really want to make this I really want to have my own business is what I want to do. And I think that's really doable. And I have so much faith in that. And I knew that if I had joined the Air Force, I'm not going to have time for it. The Bible literally says that you cannot serve 2 masters. You can't have, I'm doing the Air Force, I'm doing my job, I'm doing this. How are you going to do it all? It's not going to be that easy. So, that's one of the biggest things. And I said, you know what? God, I surrender to you, whatever it is you want for my life. We give him what we want. We offer that. But guys, I'm too scared to walk this life alone. If I have to go and do everything on my own, that's way too scary. Because you don't know what you're up against. He does. And because of that, you gain so much confidence in it, knowing that he's going to help you move forward in everything you do. So, I want to thank you guys for listening in and coming through another little town. There's so many police and everything. I've kind of got out of the habit of making a video and talking and everything else, but it's good. I enjoy it. About to enter my old college town, and there's a lot of memories here, man. This was a mental battle for me. This is actually the town that I did my first solo in for flying, actually. Because I wasn't going to be an Air Force pilot, I figured I'd go do it on my own, right? And so I did. And then I thought, well, maybe I can do even more with this, but it didn't happen. And that's totally okay. And because I brought him along, like I said, I feel completely secure about it. I know that there's nothing I could have done more. I gave it my all, and so the rest is up to him. And so, guys, I urge you to, if you don't know about Jesus, to look into him. really. He is the answer to everything. Absolutely. And may it not be my will be done, but His. And through Him and through me, we can bring so much good news. So, anyway, boys, I'll see you in the next video. In a world full of fakeness and deception, the world is broken, guys. This is why we need Jesus. This is why we need God. This is why we need to help each other. I'll see you in the next video, and keep dominating your realities.